Can you explain why you rent? Do you guys think that cocaine is something that you can get addicted to like pretty quickly?
So does Twitch at this point provide any sort of psychiatric services or even referrals to the same?
How are you feeling, Stalled? Are you pretty depressed in general? Are you pretty happy with your life or what? I don't know if I consider esports people to even be fucking gamers. Can you explain why you rent? Sure, I rent because one, I don't want to front the capital for a place to live when I don't know how long I'm going to be here, right? I don't want to have to use my own money. I don't want to have to borrow money, okay? And when I'm just going to be here for a short amount of time. So that's the first 1 and 2 reasons why I rent. 3, since I'm only going to be here for a short amount of time, I don't want to deal with the volatility of having this much capital whose maintenance could require more than the actual cost that I'd normally be willing to pay to live here, right? Like, if I move in here and like an air conditioning unit or something goes out, for the average cost of my mortgage to make up for the repair, I would have to stay here for some number of years to do it. It's not worth it to me, right? It's easier for me to just pay rent to somebody else that owns this capital, right? And then pay a premium on that so that I don't have to deal with the volatility. Renting it's almost like buying a place to live with insurance on top, more or less, basically. The difference between the value of the property and the rent that you pay is kind of an insurance that you pay, a premium that you pay to not have to deal with the volatility of owning property. Most people aren't in that type of situation. That's why you rent, is because you don't want to deal with the volatility of owning property. What do you mean? That's the reason to rent. If there was no volatility, no upfront capital costs, then everybody would just buy everything they move into. What do you mean? Destiny, on your rent take, most people rent because they don't have the capital to buy in the first place, even if they want it. They're not avoiding the inconvenience of capital ownership. They're not making a meaningful choice. No, that's not true. A lot of people could get the capital. You just have to take out a loan. But even if you have the capital, right? I could afford a place to buy you. I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to rent. There's plenty of people that can afford to buy places that still choose to rent because they're not financially illiterate and they're not obsessed with this naive idea that owning a house somehow builds your wealth or somehow makes you a rich person, or that owning a home is this glorious fucking end all. That's some dumbass I don't even know how lefties unironically wound up in the same position as dumbass fucking American values in the 60s and 70s that obsessed over owning a home. Like, owning a home was the be all and end all to being a good American, and that was like the American fucking dream, is owning a home. It's one of the dumbest fucking things that was sold to people. You want to build real wealth and shit, fucking invest in stocks, build a 401k, max out your IRA contributions. Don't sit on a giant ass fucking house unless you're going to build a family and live there for the next 20 years. There's no way a majority of the renters in LA would qualify for a loan in the LA metro area. No, but I'm sure they could qualify for a loan elsewhere, but it doesn't change my original point. Taking out a loan to buy a house most of the time is a dumb fucking decision anyway.
Bad.
You're mostly wrong on the first point as well. Generally, people don't buy residential properties looking for economic stability. The U.S. had only one mortgage insurance collapse since its inception. The dot-com bubble didn't kill property values. Stick to the social justice memes, please. Okay, dude. Oh, God, dude. Talking with lefties about economic shit has made me want to fucking end myself, especially shit related to, like, houses or property. It is so fucking cringe listening to lefties try to talk about, like, oh, well, owning a home is so important. It makes money. Like that's why people are landlords. Like, oh, shit, dude. I didn't realize taking out a huge fucking loan to buy a fucking house that I live in is the exact same type of wealth-generating thing as investing in another property that I rent to somebody that generates revenue for me. Oh, you're so smart. Your brain is fucking huge. It's exploding out of your head. It's exploding out of your head, dude. This is the equivalent of me going to buy a car and saying, like, oh shit, if I just buy a taxi, it makes me like way more money. And then I just drive my taxi around, like, and I just drive around to and from work on my taxi. And I'm like, oh, look, dude, I'm like a capital owner because I make so much more money since I own a taxi, right? That's how that works. Like, no, what the fuck? It's so fucking stupid, dude. So fucking stupid. I don't get the thing about rent being better. I could literally pay less on a mortgage than I do right now. For sure. So one, when you get a loan for your house, you're going to have closing costs that are equal to, is it 5% or is it 2%? One is like, I think that goes to the broker. Are closing costs usually like, it's like 2 to 5% of a loan or something, right? Oh, closing cost average is 2 to 5% of the purchase price. So closing costs you're going to pay on the value of the loan. So if you get a $500,000 house because you live somewhere around here, you're paying anywhere from, what would it be? 10,000 to 25,000, extra is going to be rolled into the loan. Firstly, so that's just upfront, bam, you already have that right there. And then any maintenance cost that you have on a property, so a new roof, that's anywhere from 10 to 30 grand, depending on the size of your house. If you've got to change like the furnace or the AC, that's anywhere from 2 to 10 grand, depending on how elaborate that repair or swap out is. You've got plumbing issues, if you've got foundation issues. Like there's a whole bunch of these huge expenses that come up with owning a house, where just a couple of these is going to, a pipe bursting or whatever. Just like one or two of these is easily going to average out over the course of like a few years to make it so it would have been more expensive to do the mortgage than to rent. Now, if you're going to own a home for like fucking 10 years or whatever, then you're probably fine. The point is, there are plenty of people who want long-term housing through ownership, but they can't afford it. And thank God they can't afford it, because if they want long-term housing, most of them are probably too stupid to fucking manage it, okay? Good for them that they can't even fucking afford that shit. Most mortgages require large down payments as well. Yeah, it's usually anywhere from 5 to 20%. In the United States, we've got FHA loans, which I think let you put down as low as 3% maybe. Homes can be transferred to children in ways that escape some inheritance tax. Okay, like, what is that? That's the argument? Well, when I die, okay. I view homeownership as security. Is that wrong? It's not about generating wealth at all. It's just a single home I would live in for a long time. But you can just rent someplace. How is that more security than taking any of the difference and investing it in stocks? Like my security right now is my Vanguard account. I can go anywhere I want in the country and I still hold on to that. I'm not tied to this area.
We need to compare the total unrecoverable costs of renting to the total unrecoverable costs of owning. That may sound like a complicated task, but I have boiled it down to a
Because most people have Vanguard accounts. Good one, Dusty. See ya, buddy. Hassan subreddit will love you. If you can't afford a fucking retirement account, or if you can't afford to put some money into a fucking Roth IRA, you sure as fuck can't afford a fucking house. Stick to fucking renting. One of the things that all the lefty people miss when they do these things is they always say, well, if this is true, I've seen people say, this is true, why is it that rich people rent houses to other people? Because taking a house and renting it to somebody else and using that like piece of property to generate revenue is a lot different than buying that asset and sitting in it on your own, right? Why should people be allowed to buy houses they won't live in when there are people that need houses to live in? What do you mean are you talking about people that rent houses? If you want, you could just make it illegal to buy houses to rent, but people would probably just not build houses. Chances are, if you can't afford rent, you couldn't afford the construction cost for a new house, so those houses just wouldn't get built. What do you mean? Buying is subsidized rent for the rich with a bigger upfront security deposit? Nice, dude. That might be one of the most financially illiterate takes I've heard in my entire life, but I'm sure you got it off of a really good lefty forum. I'm sure they really shit on capital owners there. Nice job, dude. Real big brain take. Is it reasonable to tax a sector of the economy related to a problem in order to fix it rather than a general tax on the rich? I kind of think so, sure. So like, let's say that you think that people owning homes with nobody in them while people are homeless, let's say that you think that's a bad thing, that shouldn't happen, right? Well, maybe if somebody has a house and they don't have a renter for that house,
yes,
after some number of months that you'd reasonably expect somebody to fill a house, so maybe after 12 months, if you own a home and no one has lived in it for 12 months, you have to pay an extra tax on owning that empty property, right? Maybe that extra tax you pay, maybe that goes into a fund that's used for public housing or for financial assistance to people that can't afford homes, like a vacancy tax. Yeah, that seems okay to me. If assuming it would raise enough revenue and you wouldn't need to pull from like general funds or whatever. Yeah, Dustin, I have a better idea than that. How about we imprison the owners of the vacant property and give the property to homeless individuals? Problem solved. Well, your problem wouldn't be solved. One, if you imprison all the people that own the homes, right? They're probably going to lapse on those payments and then those homes will get defaulted on and who the fuck knows what'll happen with that. Two, if you just throw random fucking people into those homes, they'll probably go to shit. They'll probably destroy the homes and the homes will fall apart. They'll lose all their value and the people will probably leave because they can't do fuck all with them. I mean, no, that's probably not a good idea. Nice try though, dude. Do you guys think that cocaine is something that you can get addicted to like pretty quickly?
Yes.
Like chemically?
Yes. I don't know.
Yes. I think so.
I don't care.
Do you think so,
I don't know
Atlas?
if it's pretty easily. I don't know if it's the most addictive drug, but...
Would anyone here ever try cocaine recreationally like a couple times or no?
Fuck no.
Are we allowed to say it on the stream?
I thought cocaine was one of those drugs is like the very first time you use it, you could die from it.
Nah, I think you'd have to do a
it is, but...
fuck ton, no?
Well, it can bring out, like, if you have heart problems and you don't know about it.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's kind of like saying you could die the first time you do MDMA by, like, overheating, but, like...
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not strong evidence for physical addiction, you're just wrong, dude. Cocaine won't do anything for you if you have ADHD, though. It just acts like Adderall. True.
What?
Stupidest thing I've ever read.
Yeah.
Nope, I believe that.
Cocaine is, like... It's pretty much the exact same thing as like Ritalin and shit. Like sometimes when Nathan was like being too hyperactive before school, I just have a snort a line or two before heading to class, and it would just chill him right the fuck out. He'd be like, "Yeah, feels like Vyvanse, Dad. Thanks."
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, is that stalled? Hey, what up?
What's up, buddy? How was dinner?
I'm pretty good. What's up?
Cool. So Before we get into this, I figured I should ask. So, does Twitch at this point provide any sort of psychiatric services or even referrals to the same?
No, nothing like that at all. Or at least not that I've ever been made aware of. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think that they should?
Probably. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Okay. And to give more context, the reason I ask is just because it feels like it constantly comes up where streamers are facing some abuse. I mean, if you agree, I don't know. Feels like there's not much interesting to say there in that case.
Do you think they should provide them even? Well, I don't know if I agree that they should necessarily provide them. I mean, it'd be nice, but I mean, that's not really the relationship we have with Twitch, I guess. Like, since we're just contractors. But I mean, it'd be beneficial to the streamers. I don't know if it'd be financially worth it for Twitch.
The way that I would think about it in that case, and I'm also not sure how that teases out, but it seems like if they were to provide services, they could avoid a lot of the negative shit that you see happen with a lot of that you saw happen with a lot of the earlier crazy IRL streamers. And I mean, I shouldn't use the word crazy, but if you think of like Ice, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know, if Twitch had provided some sorts of services, maybe they could have gotten his streams reined in to some degree before he started getting swatted constantly or something of that.
Possibly. I mean, one of the scariest thing I would think for that kind of stuff would be the idea that as soon as you started providing those services, like, what if you have a whole bunch more liability now? So, like, for instance, like, not a single person right now, or at least I've never heard of this before, is blaming Twitch for what happened with Etika, right? But let's say Twitch provided psychiatric services and then those failed and Etika kills himself. Do you think Twitch starts to take heat for that now, for not having, like, good enough services?
No, because I mean, even like the top level psychiatric services that exist in the world today can fail, right? But by providing them, it takes some degree of responsibility for, you know, the mental health of their content creators, many of whom suffer abuse on their platform. I'm not a lawyer, so obviously this opinion is based off of not much more than the
moral
limited experience.
Whatever, yeah.
No, the limited experience that I have had with the legal system through work. But it seems like if an individual is facing abuse on a platform like Twitch, there might be some cause for or case for damages there, but that's something that I would have to run through a lawyer to say with any degree of certainty.
How are you feeling, Stalled? Are you pretty depressed in general? Are you pretty happy with your life or what? When you wake up in the morning, are you motivated to do shit or do you feel like shit?
No, I feel okay, but I've also been in therapy for the last few months, so like that shit has helped out.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Oh, I was just curious. I've met like a surprising amount of people that seem to be like super miserable lately, and it's just interesting getting people's feedback, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, I think it has to do with life skills. Granted, my perspective there is biased by my recent experience in therapy. Or, I mean, I shouldn't even say life skills, but like, I guess, what's the word? I don't know, if you think of concepts like emotional intelligence and stuff like that, like skills that apply to that particular section. Is it the, I guess, the emotional state of your community a concern for you?
Not my community. It's people that I meet in real life, actually. It's just something that I'm kind of keeping track of. I don't know. I feel like I need to do more, I've thought about, like, I don't know how I would do this, but, like, I feel like I need to incorporate more, like, positivity into the stuff that I do. I guess I feel like I meet a lot of, like, pretty cool, like, really amazing people that, like, absolutely hate themselves. And it seems like in general, it seems like people have this idea that everybody has, like, everything kind of put together and figured out, like, really well. That's what people think other people have. And then, like, everybody is, like, secret. You know the meme where the guy is, like, smiling on the mask and then he's got, like, the horrible thing.
Yeah, he's crying behind
like that meme.
it,
But that's, like, unironically, like, every person that I talk to seems to think that. And it's, like, really sad.
Hello.
What are the general ages of these people, do you think?
Anything from, like, I'd say, like, 20 to 30. Like, everybody, and maybe even older people that are millennials. I just don't know them because I don't...
Yeah, you don't really interact with people that age range too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not altogether surprising, I wouldn't say, but I mean, certainly not a good thing independent of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any ideas about the sort of things that you would incorporate into your stream to reach that goal?
I mean, I can like speak positively to it in general, I guess, but it seems like these are like really fundamental, like really deep-seated things in terms of like how people view themselves. And the problem is like I don't even know how to like approach it when I talk to another person, because like I can give advice, but I don't know if it would work for other people. Like it might just work for me because I'm like so fundamentally disconnected from like other humans. So it's easy for me to say things like, oh, like don't worry about other people's opinions, or oh, you know, like you should always think you deserve some level of respect or care or love in your life, regardless of what, you know, friends or family or other people have told you. Like it's easy for me to say that, but I don't know like if I could convince myself of it.
Yeah, the way I would read that is, you know, that all that information is correct.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a semantic issue with the word advice, but that's not really important. The problem is when people hear that sort of advice detached from anything related to their particular experience, the information is not super useful, right?
Well, I think that a lot of the experiences that people have trouble with right now are pretty universal. Like obviously there are some unique experiences, but I think a lot of these experiences for like misery are shared. So for instance, like no fulfillment at a job, coming from a really shit family, being in really abusive relationships, feeling trapped or stuck, especially after school. I think that there are like a lot of these types of feelings, being aimless in life, not really having a goal or having anything fun to do, feeling disconnected from other people or friends. Like I think these are pretty general things that come from general places, or like shared experiences that aren't necessarily like super unique from person to person. Now, obviously, if somebody has like an abusive background with like sexual molestation or like a very unique thing, that's different, right? But
no. So going with your first category, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the difference is that a person in one of those situations may not. So say if you're, I don't know, if you're having like relationship troubles and it's fucking up like the rest of your life, like you're terribly depressed because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So a boilerplate advice, like, you know, don't derive your self-worth from other people and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's good advice, but they may be more reluctant to accept it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, I don't think anybody has ever heard that and been like, oh, shit, the dude's right. I should just, like, fucking, I should just judge myself and not let other people get to me. Like, amen, brother. Like, I don't think anyone's ever heard that. Yeah, that's the problem. So it's like, it's really frustrating. I don't know how you would ever package that up to someone in a way that they would, like, internalize it, or if it's even possible.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, and this is what I've been talking around, is the solution for this is professional help.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe,
like if someone is depressed or has some sort of anxiety problem, then, you know, the solution to that is to go seek professional help, go find a therapist or a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's
it's not an really option for everybody. Well, a lot of people get discouraged from that too, because like both therapists and SSRIs are a lot of experimentation, very imperfect, require you to get worse, sometimes multiple times.
There you're talking about psychiatry. So I'm just seeing like a DBT therapist. I'm not.
Yeah, even for therapy though, it's the same. Like you can wind up with a crazy ass fucking Christian therapist. You can wind up with somebody that's pretty judgmental. Like there's a lot of Denim's get on, you fucking piece of shit. There's a lot of like weird shit that can go on with that. I'm not saying it's bad. You should always go after therapy, but I'm saying like that's a process.
Yeah,
it's not like
still, even the perfect solution is an imperfect one.
Yeah, exactly. Or the most perfect we have right now.
Right.
Like if I were to tell you to like go to the doctor for antibiotics, and I were to tell you now there's like a 50-50 chance that some of the antibiotics you take are just literally going to make you sicker and not help you at all, and you're going to have to try this over and over again until you find like a pill that works. Like a lot of people would have a really hard time with that. But for psychiatric drugs, it's more or less what you have to do.
Yeah, like you gotta, hone in on the dosage for one. You gotta find the particular cocktail that works for. But I mean, even then, I don't really have any experience with psychiatry, so I'm kind of flying blind. When you were, and if you don't want to talk about this on stream, feel free to say so. When you were seeing, I don't remember, were you seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist?
I tried for 3 or 4 sessions, a therapist, yeah.
Okay.
How did that go? Is it worth like the money?
Yes, I think you should always do it. I don't like to. It's hard to talk about my experience because I don't want to generalize it to other people. But like, I think that if you have the money for it and you have problems, there's literally no reason not to pursue therapy.
Yeah, I would say I have had to suspend my credulity or my incredulity for a degree, I think, just because a lot of the stuff, particularly in DBT, sounds like I don't know, like spiritual shit that I don't really buy into. But I mean, it's worked for me, so I would definitely say that it's worth the $100 a week I pay out of my own pocket because they don't take insurance.
I agree.
I can't say anything because I didn't understand the first half of the conversation because I wasn't here.
Wow. I do think that like one of the fuck. It feels frustrating that like if you want to deal with like depression stuff, like it feels like you have to take like a hugely it seems insurmountable. I don't know. Fuck, that's so depressing. Like you can't. I don't think you can just take a pill or just take a pill and just go to therapy. Like it requires like big like lifestyle reworkings too. The thing that sucks about depression is like so much of it feeds into
what stressors are causing you to be depressed. Also,
yeah, but the problem is like once you have depression, you build up this system that keeps you perpetually fucked. Right? So for instance, not having anybody to talk to can make you more depressed or make you feel more isolated. Well, when you get depressed, you don't want to talk to other people. Having a shitty sleep schedule can make you feel more depressed. Well, when you have depression, oftentimes you sleep half the fucking day. Like not taking care of yourself can lead to you feeling more depressed. And when you get depressed, you start eating like shit. You don't go to the gym. Like, right? Like, when you get stuck at like the bottom of that pit, you have to like go, there's like so much inertia in the other way that you have to push back against. It's like so difficult.
I call them slumps.
Sure.
Yeah, the other thing is depression will generally exacerbate other stressors. So say if you have a stressful job or if you're in a stressful relationship, being depressed, even if that the causes of that depression are not related to whatever other troubles you have, will increase the amount of stress that your other troubles produce.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that lends to be read as though I'm supporting someone not seeking treatment, because I mean, even all that stuff is stuff that therapy can address.
Yeah, I mean, you should always seek treatment. You have to, otherwise, you're like the rest of your life is gonna be fucking miserable.
Yeah, I mean, you're resigning yourself to it essentially.
If you want, was it anything specifically you said that set you up? Here, all right, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna gatekeep. I'm gonna gatekeep like a motherfucker. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is some of the most extreme gatekeeping you've ever heard in your entire life. Here you fucking go. Are you ready? I don't actually know. I don't know if I consider esports people to even be fucking gamers, okay? That's your extreme take. That's your extreme take for the day, dude. I don't even know if I consider some fucking esports people to be fucking gamers. You fucking played only one fucking game your whole life. I remember going around at those fucking esports events, like the MLGs and shit, and I actually felt like a fucking nerd. Like half the people that played like fucking StarCraft professionally had never played Ocarina of Time, had never played a single Final Fantasy, had never played a fucking Bethesda game, Fallout 2 or 3. Like none of these people. They literally had like their one fucking game. Like that was it. Their one game that they did like esports. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I actually feel like the nerd here. Like, that's so fucking weird that there are like people, like, yeah, like Idra was an example. There are people that like, they have like their one esports game and then that's it. They've never played like a single player game in their life. They've never played like Smash Brothers, and I don't mean like as an esport, but just like casually. They've never played like a Tekken game, or they've never played a Mario Party, or they've never played, like any of the Gran Turismos, or any of the Metal Gear Solids, any RPG ever, any sports game, no fucking NFL Blitz, no fucking nothing. Like just their one esports game, and it's like, what the fuck? Like it's so fucking weird. And then to have people like this like characterize like, man, I remember when gaming used to be good, back when we could shit on people relentlessly. And it's like, damn, dude, like I don't know like how big of a part of your life like gaming was. Like I'm not gonna lie, like let's be real, like some of the really toxic shit that we did back in the gaming days is funny in a really fucked up way. But I wouldn't characterize my whole history of gaming as that. I don't think that all of the history that I have in gaming can be summarized with I was allowed to call people, like the F word or the N word. Like I don't think that was like the defining moments of my childhood, and now that that's gone, some important characteristic of gaming is gone forever. Like man, that fucking triggered the fuck out of me.
So do you look at football players not athletes because they never played basketball or soccer?
Fuck, hold on. Do you look at football players as not athletes because they never played basketball or soccer? What, an athlete is an athlete. An esports player is an esports player. The equivalent analogy would be somebody saying like, oh, like I really like playing outdoors. Like I'm a big person. Like I really like doing like going outdoors and doing stuff. And all they do is play soccer. Like, wait, what? That's like the equivalent.
TFW, I am not a real programmer. BC, I only know C and have never coded in Python or BASIC.
Are you gonna ask Noah about mental health stuff? Why, does she have like a background in that? Not a good comparison. Good, I don't give a fuck, dude. Get triggered. I want you to get triggered. Fuck, actually, I think XQC might have... I think we talked about this one time, and I think even he agreed with me. Oh.
It's more analogous to a basketball player who only dunks. Never takes a shot, and then the league like bans dunking or some shit.
That's why you stayed silent for 45 minutes? Oh no, I don't like the idea that like everything in gaming, like all of our gaming stuff is characterized by like being able to be toxic to people. I don't think that's the entirety of like what gaming was, or at least not to me growing up. Like it was a lot more than just being toxic on the internet. And then like, I don't know, like people virtue signal the fuck. Hold on.
If you haven't bred a gold chocobo to get KOTR and mimed Quadra Magic plus W summoned that shit versus Ruby weapon only to get fucked by that sinkhole, you're not a real gamer.
Nice.
Rip Aristophiles.
I don't think that all of your early gaming in your life is like characterized is characterized by being toxic as fuck. Destiny only thinks single player games are real games. No, but I mean like fuck, dude. I don't know. If you've only played like one game your whole fucking life and you call yourself a gamer, that's just weird as fuck to me. Like if you want to be like a WoW player or a League player, like that's fine. But when you're like, oh yeah, I'm a gamer, and it's like, oh shit, like did you see like the latest release of this, or what do you think about this company, or you know, like what do you think about like Hideo Kojima's new game or whatever? And they're like, who's Hideo Kojima? What? I play League. Like, oh, okay, I guess. I don't know, it's just weird. It's weird to me. I don't think that was his point, just saying that shit talk aspect is so sensitized now. Like, he feels like people who weren't around back then are now gatekeepers for what's toxic. Yeah, I mean, to some extent that's true, but gaming has also gotten, like, 1 trillion times larger than it was before, right? Like, there's so many more people involved now. I think that trade-off is an okay trade-off to make, right? I'd rather have gaming and shit be the size that it is now than to go back when, like, you're a fucking virgin at, you know, school because you play video games, you know, as opposed to now when, like, tons of people are doing it, when fucking 6-year-olds are doing Fortnite dances and shit.
Sorry. It's alright. English is your second language. You'll be fine.
Is it? What's your
God damn it. Why did you say